Good evening. It's a little after 6:30, so we call the meeting to order for the City Council Public Safety Subcommittee. Mr. Clerk?
Chairman Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Nguyen.
Here.
3 present.
Thank you. And this is a subcommittee that has been called for the regarding the License Commission rules and regulations. We received, or we don't call it on our desk, at the table here this afternoon or this evening, a letter from the city solicitor regarding that in my opinion anyway, impacts our meeting tonight or our ability to really conduct much of a meeting for the subcommittee purposes of the License Commission rules and regulations. I don't know if my fellow members have had an opportunity to look at this, and if anybody wants to comment on based upon this letter. I can read this. It's probably a good idea. It's a short letter. I can read this into the record, as everybody may not have a copy. Dear Public Safety Subcommittee members, on August 16, 2012, Mr. Bayless filed with the City Clerk a formal notice of appeal relative to his notice of discharge, as well as a demand for public hearing. During the course of the public hearing, the City Council will sit as a judicial body. As such, it is required that the City Council remain impartial as it takes evidence, hears from witnesses, and ultimately decide the matter on appeal. Accordingly, the Law Department recommends that the subcommittee delay action on its review of the License Commission's rules and regulations until such time as it has taken final action on Mr. Bayless's appeal. So, having read, very truly yours, Christine P. O'Connor, City Solicitor. Is there any?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of questions to the manager or the solicitor. So, one of the reasons why we were meeting, Council Mercy had a motion here, and I also had one the other night, to try to bring these new regulations forward and to have them adopted. So, and I understand there's some other issues, extenuating issues affecting this, but what do you feel the time frame is? And I believe we'll take the solicitor's advice until one of the issues is settled, and then we move to this. But I think the ultimate concern was to get these regulations, these new regulations in place, considering that it's been quite some time. So do you have I guess my long-winded question, sorry, what is the time frame on this issue, perhaps, and then the following one?
For the hearing issue, Councilor, the time frame is something that we will be in consultation with the attorney for Mr. Bayless. We'll be exploring dates during the course of next week, and it would be my hope and intention that the matter will come before the council at a scheduled meeting sometime next week. The intent, whether it's through our own act or through the statute itself, is to provide a community and provide the affected party or aggrieved party with a speedy hearing. And not only do they benefit by that, but a community would benefit by that as well, in that one way or another a decision's been made and the parties move on.
Okay. So I don't want to belabor this. Just one more question, Mr. Chairman. So because of the appeal of Mr. Bayless, is it in the best interest to delay these so there won't be, I don't know what there could or could not be, but I mean, I'm presuming there is, but what is the reason to wait?
As I tried to set forth in the letter, the recommendation of waiting until the sort of adjudicatory matter is resolved is that I would not want to see the council or have somebody raise any issues that something was said at this meeting that would in any way prejudice or give the appearance of the council having made a decision in a particular direction. So I think it would be best under those circumstances to keep this in abeyance, to move forward with the business at hand, which will be the appeal, and when that's concluded, one way or another, then the council can revisit this particular issue. And this was one of the grounds contained in the letter.
All right. Nope, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation.
If I may, Councilor, just the solicitor has discussed, I think, your first question, which was the thrust of her letter here tonight. But I think your other question was when we would then reschedule, when would we do this? And I would like to do this as quickly as possible, probably maybe not next week, obviously, but maybe the first week of September, I think it would probably work out too. And that would allow us to have new commission, the full board of commissioners as well. Mr. Tague, newly appointed commissioner, is here tonight, but to have all three of the commissioners that we would have in place to be present.
Just from a procedural perspective, and I know I mentioned this at the last subcommittee, the council adopted a set of regulations, and it's my understanding, perhaps you can clarify, has anything changed? I mean, there were discussions on some of those regulations. I don't know if some of them were voted on one at a time or not. Were they changed substantially or at all whatsoever? Or could you just give us a quick recap on what is the status of the set of regulations that the council adopted and forwarded or recommended to the licensing commission?
The solicitor might be the best one to do that, but let me at least take a shot at trying to see where I see it. Is that the council did adopt a set of recommended regulations that were passed on to the license commission. The license commission, after some period of time, took those up in meetings. They voted on, or they discussed making changes to a number of those proposed regulations, and spent several months doing that. And then at the last part of July, they put them up for possible adoption as amended and modified, and that motion failed. So despite their actions, they never adopted.
Thank you.
Councilor Noonan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand that we want to hold off this hearing so Mr. Bailey can have opportunity to be heard by the council. The public hearing that Mr. Bailey asking for, is that going to be the next council meeting? Is that correct?
Sure, that will be, once a date is agreed to by both parties, I'll be working with the city clerk's office. The city clerk has already been in touch today, and we've begun discussions about appropriate next steps. And one of those will be the clerk will set up a special meeting for the council for that type of a hearing.
There is a next step, though, for Mr. Bailey. Should Mr. Bailey is unhappy with the council decision, Mr. Bailey then can appeal to Superior Court. Judge review the decision. Is that correct?
No. The city's position is that in matters such as this, affected parties are afforded essentially a single bite of the apple, if you will. That essentially what is afforded, whether it's under the statute, under 138, or whether it's under our own act, that it would be a single right of appeal. And I believe the legislative intent behind that type of a scheme is to, again, allow the parties to come to a conclusion on the matter and to move on. So in the case of, say, a removal that is upheld, at that point, a community can then fill that position, and the position isn't forever tied up in matters of litigation in the appeals court or further.
So the council decision will be a final decision for Mr. Bailey?
That's the city's position.
I think, yeah, so I think the right things to do is to, as the chairperson, open the meeting, but to suspend it until further, until the matter of Mr. Bailey resolve, and that we can take up this as quick as possible so that we can resolve the issues of the new or amended regulation, because it's been overdue. Thank you.
Okay, is that in the form of a motion?
I will make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to suspend the hearing. I want to thank, really, on behalf of my colleagues, the council, and everyone, the neighborhood group, for coming out, and also for the established owner too, Nick, and everyone else, and of course the chief and his deputy. We didn't expect this to open it up and then suspend it and for further hearing, but we have to do this. So I make a motion that we suspend this matter until the matter of Mr. Bailey resolved. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion. Just on the motion, I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Manager, and because I think the subcommittee and members of the council, we're eager to put something in place. We have the police chief and his staff, you know, the problems downtown are, from all accounts, not getting any better. And I think there is some sense of urgency. We have many members of the public here and from the neighborhoods. I'm sure you've heard it. So in a timely manner, it would be my hope that we can proceed, put these in place, and make some changes for the good, you know, downtown and for the city.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call?
Chairman Broderick.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Nawant.
Yes.
3 yeas.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming down. I know that people rearrange their schedules a little bit and maybe ate dinner quickly or postponed dinner, so thank you for coming down, and we'll continue this as soon as possible and come up with some fair regulations. Thank you.